Many religious groups don't begin as cults. In fact, if asked followers of those religious community, they wouldn't describe their groups as a cult. Most people who are involved in cults are seeking love and a sense of belonging. But how much are those things worth that you lose your sense of self and individuality? I have been in several religious groups and have become aware of the danger religious cult can do to a person. I have several family members that are in cults and they don't even know it. I know many of you have a connection with someone or yourself being involved in a religious group, but how sure are you that it's not a cult? According to Comm.org, generally it takes a trained person who can identify unhealthy patterns and teachings as compared to healthy ones and can then identify a cult. Today, I want to share with you that as people of faith, we need to know the dangers that are associated with religious cults and not support them. In the next few minutes, we will be looking at how religious cult may affect a person's identity, sense of self, mental and emotional ability, and ways we can take action against them. First, let's look at the effects religious cult has on a follower of these groups. A lot of times when joining a religious cult, followers are forced to excommunicate themselves from the outside world, causing them to lose their identity, being manipulated and deceived. According to GaleGroup.com, some religious cults practice polygamy, meaning one man can have more than one wife. In normal society, such practice is considered immoral, inappropriate, and prohibited. In a cult community, they don't abide by the U.S. laws, therefore they can practice polygamy without any federal consequences. The article on GaleGroup.com speaks about a young man that could no longer be found because the religious cult changed his name to a cult name. Therefore, he was forced to assume a new identity. He came to the U.S. in the hopes of becoming an ordained pastor, and after 10 years, he mysteriously disappeared and was never heard from again. This is an example of how followers of a cult may lose a sense of self. According to GotQuestion.org, the Christian Identity Movement is a name that applies to a variety of different religious cults, all identified by racist and anti-Semitic principles. According to ApologeticIndex.org, religious cults often use mind control as a strategy to convince people to join and remain loyal to the organization. They tactically manipulate their followers through friendship and acceptance. The question is, how exactly does someone get drawn into religious cult? They get cultivated in by common interests and often go undetected because of their casual disposition and demeanor or charismatic persona. A potential member simply gets an invitation to a workshop, a party, a performance, or some other supposedly harmless events. Each time that potential member goes back to these events and get involved, they're actually taking small steps that make it seem as if there is no big change. But after taking enough steps, they're so far in that it makes it hard for them to get out. According to MichaelBlueJ.com, religious cult recruiters never give you all the details right away. The leaders of these organizations uses fear and guilt tactics on their followers to ensure that they remain committed to the cause. Followers are made to feel repentant if they disobey any of the cult's written or unwritten rules. They forcefully get members to separate themselves from their previous family and friends, with the intention of isolating, misguiding, and extorting them from the outside world. According to cultwatch.com, religious cult leaders also uses character assassination to help create guilt in their followers. Leaders do this by manipulating the followers' integrity, belief, and opinion. Some religious cults will practice love bombing, where they schedule immediate friendship for their followers. Now, the main purpose of creating these new friendships for their members is to minimize their contact with people outside the group. In doing so, they have full control over the followers' time to keep them busy with meetings and activities. Religious cult members are psychologically brainwashed, causing them to retaliate against the society they once knew. According to coursejournal.org that say, leaving a cult is extremely difficult for former members, especially if they have to do it alone. In the Jonestown Massacre, followers were willing to do whatever was asked of them, no matter how unethical or how irrational it may have been, to prove their loyalty. According to ThoughtCo.com, on November the 18th, 1978, People's Temple leader Jim Jones ordered all members living in the Jonestown, Guyana compound to commit an act of revolutionary suicide by drinking poison punch. A total of nearly 918 people's lives were taken that day, approximately 300 of whom were children. Jim Jones persuaded and ultimately brainwashed the people to commit suicide. Members trying to escape a religious cult have a hard time adjusting back into society and everyday life due to their constant abuse and lack of independence that they had to endure while being a victim of the cult. The constant abuse may trigger a follower to experience chronic illness, such as depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and low self-esteem. Followers who battle with these afflictions oftentimes find it hard to cope with reality itself after being reintroduced to a normal civilian lifestyle, therefore causing the ex-cult members to contemplate suicide. Although there are many consequences that a religious cult member may experience, we can reverse the outcome by rescuing a loved one or a friend. There are steps a concerned relative or friend can take to save a cult member from the group. According to LibertyForCaptives.com, the first steps to deliver a cult member is to increase your knowledge. Be able to distinguish the characteristics of the cult, whether they're doomsday, Bible, satanic, or New Age. Stay in contact with your relatives and friends. Send them a card or a letter, even if you never hear back. Call them sometimes or leave a voicemail. Visit them or have their neighbor check on them. Because these ways of contact, they have more weight than you think. In doing so, this gives you a peace of mind, and if all else fails, contact the authorities. Build trust and maintain a place of safety with them. Let your loved one know that they're always welcome in your home. Knowing they have a safe place to go besides the cult, they might reach out to you. Ways of building trust with your loved one is by listening, loving, and letting them know that they can come home anytime. Explore to see what opportunities are available to you and utilize them. It may be as simple as a phone call, inviting them to visit your home, or paying attention to the news or paper reports. Be persistent and aggressive, but polite and calm while exploring all avenues. In conclusion, the dangers of an active religious cult are very real, and it is vitally important to educate yourself and be aware of your surroundings. Research has shown that religious cult has many damaging effects to their members and loved ones. Research has shown that religious cult has patterns to look out for. They're very conniving, approachable, and malicious. Lastly, A lot is not said or revealed about religious cult practices until the damage is done. Religion is often used as a guidance to tell us what is right from wrong. The next time you go to a religious gathering, would you be able to detect if it's a cult or not? Religious cult leaders has one main purpose, and that is to strip you of your identity, your free will, and everything else you hold dear. Religious cults are like boiling frog syndrome. So let's take the initiative to keep people aware